Hi, everyone, and welcome to my class on Fiore's Sword in One Hand. This class was previously taught live at in Lannion University, but I did not record it at the time. So I'm coming back and recording several of those classes so that people on YouTube can enjoy them as well. So my class will cover some background on Fiore, who he was, and what the Sword in One Hand section is. We'll cover all 13 plates. In this section of the manual, we'll examine the illustration and the text. We'll discuss the implementation as described. I'll show you a video of my take of it, and then we'll discuss application to SCA combat rule sets. And then I have a bibliography at the end. So I work with a group called the Teardown Fiore Study Group. We have a website called learnfiore.org. We have a YouTube channel that you can access on YouTube using the @LearnFiore nickname, and links to these slides and the class recordings will be posted once I'm done with them at the link there on Learn Fiore. So my sources, the sources came from the Getty Museum. There's the link to their website with the high resolution pictures of the manual, and the translations were by Colin Hatcher, which you can access either from Wigton Hour or from buying his excellent book, The Flower of Battle. So, quick background. Fiore's manual was published around 1409. It is the earliest known complete European combat system. There are certainly earlier combat manuals, but they are focused on one particular weapon rather than Fiore covers wrestling, dagger, swords, armored combat, pikes, spears, and mounted combats. 4 copies of the manual are known to survive, but they are all different because this is pre-printing press, and the Getty copy is the most complete. So that's the one that I'm going to be using as my basis. On the slide, you'll see some page numbering. It's a little unusual, but it's using a museum-style page numbering where each sheet of paper or vellum is numbered, and then the front of the sheet is called recto, or abbreviated R, and the back of each sheet it is called verso, or abbreviated V. So the sword in one hand section in the manual is one of the shortest section in the manual. There are 13 figures with corresponding text. It references a dagger play when fighters are close. We'll look at that dagger play, or I'll remind you of that dagger play. And the plays are fairly similar to each other. So common concepts that we'll just use in the discussion is cover, and that's having your sword between their sword and your body. So a block in some sense might be a similar word. Measure is the distance between two fighters. It's directly related to the time you have to react. The closer you are, the faster you have to move, and the more oblique your movement will need to be in order to execute these plays. And your initial cover is going to need to be much faster. These videos were shot at fairly long measure in order to be able to better see what was going on. So the movement is less oblique and it is more linear. So the first plate, which is on page 20 recto in the manual, shows 3 figures holding swords in different ways. Here are the 3 opponents who want to kill this master. The first aims to cut him with a thrust, the second intends a cut, the third will throw his sword at the master like a spear. If the master can perform a mighty deed and avoid being killed, then God will have indeed blessed him with great skill. So in each of these plates, I'm going to highlight the instruction that we're trying to recreate in our play, but I'll read the rest of the illustration and fun part of the text to get the full context. So here's my son in the yard, and he's very patiently holding the sword in each of these 3 different ways. So each of the plays will come in the following slides will work regardless of the type of attacks being used. We'll demonstrate generally using thrusts, and we'll show one example against a cut as well. So plate 2, page 20 recto, it is much longer text. It shows the master. You can tell he's the master because he has a gold coronet on his head in the illustration. And the text is, "You are cowards and know little of this art. You are all words without any deeds. I challenge you to come at me one after another, if you dare. And even if there are 100 of you, I will destroy all of you from this powerful guard. I will advance my front foot a little off the line, and with my left foot I will step crosswise. And as I do so, I will cross your swords, beating them aside and leaving you unprotected. I will then strike you without fail. Even if you throw your spear or sword at me, I will beat them all aside in the same manner I described above, stepping off the line, as you will see me demonstrate in the plays that follow, and which you will do well to study. And even though I am only holding the sword in one hand, I can still perform all of my art, as you will see demonstrated in this book." So here I am standing in the initial position. I'm wearing my cornet to match the master's um, case. So where is the opponent here, and in what direction and in what distance? It's a little hard to tell from that initial picture, but if you look at the plate in the book, not cropped quite as tight as I did in the first illustration, you can get a comparison of where they're positioned, and you can get a hint as to what's going on. Um, and I think this is kind of the position that we're going to be in for the rest of the plays, where we actually move the swords and do things. So plate 3 actually describes an action. It's on page 20 verso. "I have done what my teacher told me to do. That is to say, I stepped off the line, making a strong cover. Having rendered my opponent unprotected, I can now easily place a thrust into his face. And with my sword, I'll demonstrate that I can take his sword and send it to the ground." So here, whoop, there we go. And now I'm going to hit play on our video. See our interpretation of this play. He's thrusting. I'll play it one more time so you can see it again. I do a passing step, make cover, switch the cover to my hand, and then my sword is free to stab him however I want. In this case, my sword has made it to the inside. We'll see some other cases where it's on the outside. So plate 4, page 20 verso. "I have rendered you completely unprotected, and now I can easily strike you in the head. And if I choose to pass forward with my rear foot, I can perform close range techniques against you, such as locks, dislocations, and grapples." So from an SCA standpoint, the parry and the strike are fine. Grappling, not so much, but it's still available. In this case, uh, the person performing the action is depicted with a gold garter. He's a student. We did not switch me to a gold garter. I'm still wearing the coronet throughout, but I'm the person that is being the active person and winning the play in each of these plays. So here's our recording of our take on that description. Again, I'm going to make a passing step, make cover. This time my sword's going to end up on the outside. All right, I'll play it one more time. All right. We'll move on to plate 5, page 20 verso. And you can see the depiction with the student on the right with the gold garter, and the poor person who's being acted upon on the left. From this position, I can easily strike or stab you, and if I advance my front foot forward, I can lock you in the middle bind, as shown in the third play of the first remedy master of the dagger. Alternatively, I can do the play shown next and strike and lock you as shown here. Okay. So here's that plate, our interpretation of it. Pretty similar to what we did in the first play with the cover transfer, but in this case, I'm grabbing the wrist rather than the sword. So if you had the manual, you could flip back 10 pages and end up on page 10 verso plate 3, whereas the dagger middle bind that he describes in the text. And this is the description of that play from the dagger section. "I will lock your arm in the middle bind, and I will do it in such a way that you will not be able to give me any trouble. And if I wish to put you to the ground, I will do so with little effort, and you will have no chance of escaping. So I hope you can see how if I'd gone a little bit further rather than the wrist grab, I could have done a bind, and then we could have grappled as well. So here's the version with the bind. And we'll play it one more time. It's very similar. I just ended up a bit closer. And rather than grabbing the wrist, I wrapped the arm to do the bind. This would not be SCA legal. All right, plate 6, page 20 verso. Here, both your sword and your arm are effectively trapped, and you will not be able to escape before I strike you as described, because you have shown you know nothing of this play. So that's the same bind, fully described. All right. Moving on to the next play, plate 7, page 21 recto. Here, I can easily strike you while taking your sword, and by rotating it in your hand, I will make you drop it as the only way to prevent yourself from being thrown to the ground. So if you look, the student is grabbing the guard of the sword, the handle of the sword below the attacker, perhaps even the pommel, depending on how much sword is available. And here's our take on that play. And I could definitely make him drop it. I'm being gentle because it's my son and I don't want to break him. All right. Let's move on to plate 7. Now, this is the same play, but rather than a thrust, we're doing the same play against a cut just to demonstrate that it works here with a cut as well. We won't show any with a thrown sword because we didn't want to have weapons flying around our yard and into the windows. But we'll show you the cut version. Same exact play. You just got to make the cover in a slightly different spot. I'll play it one more time. And then while the sword is stopped, you can grab the guard, the handle, and rotate it out of position. So plate 8 is on page 21 recto. Here I strike you from the front, but this is not enough. By gripping your elbow, I will make you turn away, and then I'll wrap my sword around your neck from behind, and you will have no defense to this. So fair amount of grappling and thuggery involved here. Might be fun to see, but probably not SCA legal. So here's the play. Okay, I'm going to do it one more time. And you can see even though I'm being gentle, William has difficulty maintaining his balance, and I could have thrown him to the ground if I'd been a little more aggressive and closed a little more closely to him. Plate 9 is page 21 recto. In the previous drawing, I told you that I would turn you and then quickly wrap my sword around your neck, as shown here. And if I fail to cut your throat, then I am a pathetic fool. So there's the illustration of the neck cut. And then I think we will show us doing that. So here's our take on this. And again, I'm being slow and gentle. And this would flow a little bit better if you were doing it in earnest at speed. Plate 10, page 21. You aim to thrust at me, and I beat it to the ground. Do you see how you are now unprotected and can be struck? And I can also turn you and do you even more harm by striking you from behind. All right, here is our take on this play. Okay, so there's a cover, a sweep, and now my sword is on top, and I can, if I want to, strike his head from his shoulders, those kinds of things. There's very little he can do to stop me. Plate 11. Because I turned you by pushing your elbow and have quickly come to this position, and from here I have quickly come to this position, and from here I can throw you to the ground where you will no longer be able to fight me or anyone else. Notice they're much closer. The leg is behind, the student's leg is behind the attacker's leg, which makes it much easier to do a throw over that leg. I'm not going to actually throw my son to the ground in this demonstration, but I hope you'll get the feel for what we can do here. All right. It's a little awkward because we're being slow and careful. Play it one more time. All right. Plate 12. This opponent struck at my head, and I beat his sword to the ground, coming to this position as you see depicted here. Now, after forcing you to turn away, I will aggressively wrap my sword around your neck. Here, the student is standing on the attacker's sword and getting ready to remove the attacker's head from his shoulders. Here's our version of this play. Again, we're being a little slow and careful so we don't actually hurt each other. Hopefully you are doing the same if you're practicing this. Oh, sorry. Let me show that to you one more time. All right. And plate 13. This is a play where if you wish to make this kind of thrust, you should be armored. If your opponent strikes at you with a thrust or cut, you first make your cover and then quickly counterattack as shown. Here the student, the one with the garter, has grabbed his own sword near the tip, so he's half swording in order to complete this play. Here's our take on the play. I'll play it one more time. There's a little more energy on the beat in order to get clear and around. And he does not maintain the cover as he goes past, which is why I think he says it's best to do this if you're wearing armor, so that anything the opponent can do would be hitting him in an armored spot, since you're mostly past the tip. And hopefully he's also distracted by the fact that the sword is coming very quickly into his deadly areas of his face and his upper chest. So that was our last plate from this section. Let me talk about a bibliography. Here are three versions of the manual itself. The first one is a facsimile of the book with the original Italian and the original pictures. It's a great book. It's the main one that I use at displays to show people what the manual looks like. The second one is Colin Hatcher and Tracy Mello's version of the book, where they have taken the original book and recreated it by replacing the Italian handwritten medieval Italian text with a typed English text in a similar font. So it's almost as if you were reading the original book yourself, just for an English speaker. And then Freelance Academy Press has the Getty manual also available in a version where they have both a facsimile of the original, and then on a facing page they have a typed version of the medieval Italian and a typed version of the translation. So all in one place. It's a more expensive book, but it also contains a lot of background information, and it's excellent. And you can occasionally get it on sale. So if you're interested, go sign up for in their mailing list and keep an eye on it. There are a lot of interpretations out there, which are basically book versions of this class, where they're showing you a figure and then photographs of them doing the plays. We use Bob Charette's book, which is the first one listed there, for an awful lot of our early research. It really helped us to learn the system, and I highly recommend it. And then more recently, Guy Windsor has published a series of books on different sections of the book of the manual. They are excellent as well. And that completes this class. Thank you for listening and watching on YouTube, and please try some of the other classes on the channel.